Most people's attention span is very, very short. And these discussions do go on sometimes for a while. But these discussions are not for your average person, for your average person is not seeking. These discussions are for the mature seeker, the adept. And with that said, welcome, my sisters and brothers, to the Law of One study group. I am Robert, a humble messenger, and it is my pleasure to bring to you conscious channeling of LL research. No, there's no donation box. It takes a lot of work to make money, and I don't want your money. What I want you to do with that time you would have spent working hard to make that money, instead, meditate. Meditate. That's the best gift you can give to me. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. The question today comes from our beginning discussion of Stonehenge and its original purpose, thinking that it has something to do with seasons. We were thinking about the seasons of the seeker. Are there seasons in seeking? Most people start out very much on fire and very excited about seeking and read a lot and meditate a lot and do all kinds of things, and then it kind of reduces in intensity and the seeking becomes more of a natural kind of thing, a day-to-day thing. So we refer back to the seasons with Ra, where Don's question was, it seems to me that the primary thing of importance for those on the service to others path is the development of an attitude, which I can only describe as a vibration. This attitude would be developed through meditation, ritual, and the developing appreciation for the creation or the creator, which results in a state of mind that can only be expressed by me as an increase in vibration or oneness with all. Could you expand and correct that statement? And then Ra said, we shall not correct this statement, but shall expand upon it by suggesting that to those qualities you may add the living day by day and moment by moment. For the true adept lives more and more as it is. And in the following session, Don said, you made the statement in a previous session that the true adept lives more and more as it is. Will you explain and expand more upon that statement? And Ra said, each entity is the creator. The entity, as it becomes more and more conscious of itself, gradually comes to the turning point at which it determines to seek either in service to others or in service to self. The seeker becomes the adept when it has balanced with minimal adequacy the energy centers of red, orange, yellow, and blue. with the addition of the green for the positive, thus moving into indigo work. The adept then begins to do less of the preliminary or outer work, having to do with function, and begins to affect the inner work, which has to do with being. As the adept becomes a more and more consciously crystallized entity, it gradually manifests more and more of that which it always has been since before time, that is, the one infinite creator. So, we would like QO to talk to us about these sessions or cycles of seeking and what we can expect as we continue to seek. We are those known to you as the principle of QO. Greetings in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, in whose service we come to you this day. We thank you for creating the circle of seeking and for asking for us to join you and to offer our humble thoughts. As always, my friends, we would ask that you employ your discrimination in listening to what we have to say, and if a thought that we offer does not resonate to you, please leave it behind. In this way, we can feel comfortable in knowing that we are not infringing upon your free will or interfering with the process of your evolution of mind, body, and spirit. We thank you for this consideration. We would start our discussion with observing the effect of the cat that is in the instrument's lap at this time and purring loudly because it appreciates the energies of the meditation. Indeed, as the one known as Jim reads from the words of the entity known as Ra, there is a vibration or an essence that is more and more for the maturing spiritual seeker, the identity of that seeker. That vibration is who one is, and many things affect that vibratory rate from moment to moment, from day to day, and from season to season. The seasons on your planet are more than simply those shifting zones of temperature, humidity, and weather. They represent the flow of constant repositioning of the forces that impinge upon your planet from the stars near and far, from the moon and from your sun especially. Let us look at these seasonal cycles first. The culture of those who dwell in cities and who have heated homes in the winter and cool homes in the summer, and who work in air-conditioned offices for a living, can easily disregard the passage of the seasons. They do not affect him overmuch. He is protected by the civilization and the comforts of that civilization. Yet the body, both the physical body and the energy body, being components of that energy system, is pre-turn naturally aware on a subconscious level, far from the conscious mind, of these shifting seasons and these shifting arrangements of energy that are impinging upon one and upon one's body as the seasons roll around, from fall to winter, from winter to spring, from spring to summer, and from summer to fall. The equinoxes, one of which you have experienced recently, that is, the fall equinox, offer to you a time of balance. They are the year's equivalent of twilight and dawning. That time when one set of nature spirits and weather spirits, shall we say, are going to sleep, and another set are waking up. It is a very magical time. Therefore, it is a good idea to cooperate with the fall equinox and the spring equinox by noting its passing and allowing the self some extra time to rest and reflect upon that which has passed. Since spring, and then in the spring to reflect upon that which has passed during the long night of winter. You are a voyager upon a journey that is affected by that weather of the spheres, shall we say, that your heavenly bodies, your stars and star systems, your planets, and especially your moon offer you. The equinoxes are times to reflect on those. And another good opportunity at equinox is to welcome the energies that are coming in. It is helpful to recognize and greet the incoming energies. The approach of winter brings outer evidence of an altered environment, cold temperature, precipitation being snow and sleet instead of rain. There is less and less light as one enters into the depths of this long winter's night. And these energies are to be welcomed. It is a good time to take stock as a spiritual seeker of what the daylight has brought through the warm months, to give thanks for those lessons and to settle and seat them in the deep mind, appreciated, honored, and respected. The summer solstice and the winter solstice, on the other hand, are times of power, times of epiphany and insight. At winter equinox, one is resting at the very nadir of light. The hours of darkness have completed their march, and your beloved planet Earth is at its furthest from the sun. This is the time to set the intentions, to move into the caves and the depths of your being. This is the time to ask the darkness to envelop and cover the seeds that are the fruit of your past work, and to set your intention to embrace those fertilizing and fructifying those energies of darkness that are needed to incubate and nurture those seeds of intent. It is at this winter equinox that the great figure of light, the one known as Jesus the Christ, enters the world. So you may behold yourself wrapped in a cradle of darkness, and wrapped also in your firm intent to nurture the infant soul within you. It is a time when it is very easy to slip the bonds of life for those that are marginally living as the darkness descends. It becomes easier to let those tenuous bonds that hold one to life go. This is the case of there being many elderly entities, especially who choose the winter months to enter the gates of larger life and leave the world of earth behind. This particular group has had a practice at the winter solstice of setting the bonfire and giving to the dark all of those energies that they would wish to be gone from their world. Poverty, illness, anger, and war, and all of those difficult and intransigent energies of violence and greed. And this is a good practice, we feel. It is good to mark these points within your cycle of the year and cooperate as fully as you can with the special energies of those times. The spring equinox is also a time of deep reflection, a time when one is saying goodbye to the night and hello to the dawning of a new planetary day. That long day of spring and summer and early fall, when the energies begin to manifest, bursting forth from the seeds which you have planted in the darkness of winter. In each density of your planet, there is that changing of the guard. In the unseen realms, this is just as true as in your everyday world. Powers upon powers, spirits upon spirits in the unseen worlds dance their dance and leave at the appointed time, making way for those entities of the new time. And so it is in the spring. As the darkness dies, the energies of fertilization and nurturing and deep intent give way to the welcoming of the light and a readiness to be stewards of the energies within oneself, which are coming in to bloom. It is no mistake that Lent occurs in the Christmas year at this time of the year, nor is it surprising that many a housekeeper chooses spring to clean house, top to bottom, and make everything new and fresh again, for the time of manifestation has begun. Summer's heat coaxes bloom and fruit from the slumbering earth in all the glory of spring, and summer bursts into being. On an inner level as well, warm weather is the time for realizing the fruits of those growing seeds within you. It is an active time, not as the one R was saying a rushing time, but an active time, a time of intensity and brightness. The entities who aided those of your peoples to create that calendetic structure known as Stonehenge collaborated in this effort because of the great magical potential for cooperating with the seasons. We would recommend for those who would like to blend more and cooperate more skillfully with these seasonal ebbs and flows that reading be done in the area of natural magic. Sometimes this is called Wicca. It is neither a positive nor negative kind of magic. It is not a polarized magic, but rather a unified system of awareness having to do with what energies ebb and flow, not only at the equinoxes and the solstices, but at the halfway point between equinox and solstice and equinox. And indeed, there are those sensitive entities who have investigated even further refinements, offering suggestions for each of the stations along the planetary year. Another cycle that can be used by the spiritual seeker is the cycle of the moon. There is subtle work, and yet it is well done, for the moon's influence is as the influence upon the ocean. There are tides within your body that ebb and flow according to the new moon and the full moon. It is skillful at the new moon to plant new ideas and set certain intentions that you wish to set, or to re-examine intentions that you have previously set. At the full of the moon, on the other hand, it is well to rejoice and open and allow those emotions that are within you, that are linked to spirit, to express themselves, not with a hectic excitement, but with a passionate equanimity. Seasons for the spiritual seeker are not necessarily totally coincidental with the seasons of the year, for there are deep rhythms within a seeker's life that are expressed throughout an entire incarnation. Each entity will have its own long rhythms of creation, manifestation, and rest. Many have written about the various stages of life, seeing the tiny child grow and swell into an entity in its full state of youth and health and vigor, then seeing that entity complete the circle, dwindling down into the seasonal childhood which ends in death. Within this incarnational long cycle, there are sub-cycles wherein various learnings are begun, executed, and completed. At the end of those times, there may be seen to be feelings of part of the self slipping away or dying away, and another part of the self coming into bloom. This instrument is aware of those who feel that these cycles are in terms of 7 years, yet we would say that this is not a strict truth. Rather, it is true that for each entity there are cycles that take many years to complete, and while this cycle is going on, from the inside of the cycle, the experience is that this is the self, and this shall be the self for all of the lifelong, Yet indeed, this is not so. If you reflect back on various portions of your life, you shall see that you have indeed gained so much from previous cycles that you have been transformed by them. We would perhaps call these cycles of learning and growth, those which end with the dark night of the soul, and then which spring into new life with the revelation and epiphany that the dawning after the dark night brings. You do not have to look at the almanac in order to cooperate with these very deep rhythms of the self. You can sense the powerful forces of the dark night of the soul coming to bear upon you, and you know at that point that a season of learning for you is coming to a close. And you are moving through that time when you allow to fall away those things which no longer serve you. So you let them go with thanks and appreciation. It is perfectly acceptable for you to grieve for that which has been you, but which is no longer. And always with those dark nights of the soul, it is well to retain the memory, the knowledge, and the faith. That morning inevitably comes to banish darkness, and new life begins fresh, clean, and new. There is another type of cycle that affects the spiritual seeker, and that has to do with the placement of the self within this time of shift. There are repeated convergences of energies that signal and herald degrees of interpenetration of the new age with the old age, the fourth density with the third density. These are very powerful times for spiritual seekers because the incoming fourth density energy is an energy of transparency of truth. You may have noticed that various aspects of your shadow side have been mirrored to you in these last few years, and that this effect is continuing and intensifying. We can only encourage you to cooperate with these intense waves of energy as they sweep through your energy body and your awareness. These are magical times for those who wish to craft for themselves an ever more solid awareness of who they are. It may seem that these energies are inimical. Certainly there is discomfort at times in seeing the shadow side of yourself in a new way and perhaps for the first time. There is, however, no stigma in having a shadow side. There is no embarrassment or shame in finding that your armor of light is not seamless. You may with calmness observe the uncomfortable truths that may face you as you take in these energies of light and truth. We encourage you never to judge yourself, but only to love yourself ever more fully as you understand yourself ever more fully. We would address that portion of the question that has to do with becoming an entity which is focused in being rather than in doing, in essence rather than in form. Friends, each portion of your physical reality has a form, yet it also has an essence. Every piece of earth, every flower, every human being is both form and essence. Your outer culture naturally has to do, with the most part, with form and manifestation. It is not your outer culture's habit even to investigate the essence that lies within the forms. To the spiritual seeker, forms shall never satisfy. There is always hunger after essence, the essence of yourself, the essence of the creation around you, the essence of who the Creator is. The portion of you that is involved with forms is also involved with those mental and emotional forms or masks that you may call the ego or the personality shell. There is a great deal that one can do on that surface level to live more skillfully and much more in cooperation with the environment about you. It is to some extent at this level that you will use the seasons. Yet the influence of the seasons moves into essence as well as forms. Just as you, as a creature, move into essence as well as form. As you approach spiritual maturity, you begin to realize portions of your surface self. You find parts of your personality shell dropping back or even falling away. And in the place of that personality, you will find an awareness that is deep within you, that is impersonal in nature, and that partakes more and more of essence. This movement from form to essence, from personality to impersonality, from the thinking mind to consciousness, is the meat and drink of spiritual seeking. At the heart of each of you there is an identity. You are one with each other and with all that there is. You share in common the same consciousness that is the Creator's consciousness. It is imbued with and of the nature of unconditional love. One of the most powerful experiences for any spiritual seeker is to be able to move through the lower chakras into the open heart, and from there into indigo, and then violet, and then the gateway to intelligent infinity. As the seeker does this, one becomes the Creator. Yet, my friends, we would not say that this is the goal of spiritual seeking. Rather, we would say that your aim as a spiritual seeker is to become able to move from form to essence and back to form and back to essence in an even more flowing and harmonious manner, neither scorning the surface of things nor becoming overly enamored of the higher states of meditation and awareness. Your goal as a spiritual seeker is to find where your heart truly lies in terms of polarity, Shall you serve the light, or shall you serve the darkness? When you have made that choice, then you have the rest of your incarnation before you as an environment in which to practice being that entity which is a servant and becoming ever more comfortable in that polarity, so that gradually, over time, you become truly balanced. The dance moves through many cycles, and yet always within you, at the heart, is that point of infinite stillness in which essence is all, and love rings out to the farthest reaches of the infinite creation. We thank those of this group for creating such an interesting question. It has been our pleasure to contemplate various facets of it, for it indeed is a large question and could be probed from many different angles. We would thank each one again for the privilege and pleasure of your company. Your mingled auras create a beautiful space among with all those positive energies within your universe which have been called to be a portion of this sacred space. We thank you so much for being asked to be part of this moment. We thank you for seeking, and we thank you for being you. For you are truly beautiful. We leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. We are known to you as the principle of QO. Adonai, Adonai.